We are average Americans. All sections of this country and many of its occupations are represented, as well as many political, economic, social, and religious backgrounds. We're people who normally would not mix, but there exists among us a fellowship, a friendliness, and an understanding which is indescribably wonderful. We're like the passengers of a great liner the moment after rescue from shipwreck, when camaraderie, joyousness, and democracy pervade the vessel from steerage to captain's table. Unlike the feelings of the ship's passengers, however, our joy in escape from disaster does not subside as we go our individual ways. The feeling of having shared in a common peril is one element in the powerful cement which binds us, but that in itself would never have held us together as we are now joined. The tremendous fact for every one of us is that we have discovered a common solution. We have a way out on which we can absolutely agree, and upon which we can join in brotherly and harmonious action. This is the great news this book carries to those who suffer from alcoholism.
So from Park Avenue to Park Bench, from gated communities to gated communities, we're all represented. Recently changed home groups, but it's kind of a high-bottom group, and so the people that I sponsor lately, they don't have the same kind of financial issues that I have. I show up in my 24-year-old van, and they show up in their brand new Porsche or their brand new Infiniti. I've sponsored guys that were living in the woods, and I've sponsored guys that are living in a condo on the beach. I don't think that part of it matters at all. We have a common solution upon which we can all heartily agree and join in brotherly, harmonious action. And that's what this program is action. Just like alcoholism doesn't care how much money you got or how little you've got, neither does AA. AA is open to all. I'm very happy about that. You know, the only qualification to be an alcoholic is to say that you're an alcoholic, to admit that you're powerless over alcohol and that your life has become unmanageable. And if you're alcoholic like I am, it should be easy to come to that realization, but it's a lot harder than people think. There's that denial that's extremely powerful. Denial can keep you drunk for many, many years. You know, I can quit whenever I want to. I just don't want to. You ever heard that? I used to say that all the time. When I want to, I'll quit. But when it came time that I wanted to, I realized I couldn't. I've been a member of several different groups throughout my sobriety and my attempts at sobriety. Some of them, which I call like the downtown groups, where, you know, the majority of the members are just barely getting by financially. They've lost their licenses, so there's lots of bikes. There's like a bike rack at the group. You know, people are always asking for rides or, you know, hey, you know where I can get some work? You know, that kind of thing. And hey, those people need help, man. They are, they're alcoholic, okay? But then I've also pulled into the parking lot at meetings, and, you know, they're all fancy cars, man. The people are dressed nice. And you know what they're there for? They're there for the exact same thing that the guy on the bike without a job is for. They're there for sobriety. Sometimes I think we take AA for granted, that it's just always going to be there. And personally, I hope it is. I believe it's always going to be here. But that takes action. I have to be intentional about not only my sobriety, but also the fellowship. You know, the three legacies are unity, recovery, and service. And I've talked about service a little bit, and of course I've talked about recovery, but unity is keeping us together, not separating us. You know, in our country, I'm in America, but in our country, we have this problem with separation. There is no unity to speak of in the United States of America right now. There's a lot of separation. And, you know, I certainly don't want to get into any political stuff, but we can't afford to let that happen in AA. We have to keep this thing alive. And that is one way. First, through the fact that it is the common solution. No matter who you are, where you're from, what your social or economic status is, it's the solution. We have to keep it alive through the fellowship and applying the traditions at the group level. Now, not just at the group level, I've taken the traditions and applied them to my life as well. My favorite is the 10th tradition, which states, we have no opinion on outside issues, hence the AA name will never be drawn into public controversy. Well, I can apply that directly to me. I just take AA out and put Earl in there. Earl has no opinion on outside issues. Hence, Earl's name will never be drawn into public controversy. I stay away from controversy. I'm not into it, you know? There was a time when I used to love controversy. I loved confrontation and things like that because, well, I've always had the gift of gab, so I could talk you into submission, if you will. What kind of life is that? This is about keeping the Fellowship of Alcoholics Anonymous alive. And I think that one of the best ways of doing that is to show that this is available for everyone. This isn't just for people who can afford it. It's not just for people who've lost everything and they don't have anything left. It's for people who have come to the realization that they're powerless over alcohol and that their lives have become unmanageable. We all kind of have issues, I think, with that first step. And the majority of the issues that I've heard are on the unmanageability. Especially if you've still got the house and the 2 cars and the garage and all of that. You know, how can my life be unmanageable? Look at it. You know, I'm a functioning alcoholic. Yeah, that's not a thing, okay? You're either alcoholic or you're not alcoholic. Step 1 has 2 parts, and those 2 parts are powerless over alcohol and that our lives have become unmanageable. And like I say, if you've still got, you know, worldly goods, you may think that your life is manageable. You're just powerless over alcohol. Or, on the other hand, and this was my case, I knew my life was unmanageable. It was a total train wreck. The part that I had a hard time with was that I was powerless over alcohol. What do you mean I'm powerless? I'm not powerless over alcohol. You know, I can remember a time when I could drink alcohol and nothing bad would happen. No blood was drawn, nobody went to jail, had a good time, woke up kind of hungover, but you know, hey, that's part of the deal. So I'm not powerless. But I knew my life was unmanageable. To take step one 100%, which is necessary, we have to agree with both those terms. I'm powerless over alcohol, and my life is unmanageable. So we need those people that think their life is completely manageable, but they feel like they're powerless over alcohol. And we also need the people that don't believe they're powerless over alcohol, but agree that their life is completely unmanageable. That's what creates the fellowship and creates unity between those two levels of alcoholics. You know, we talk about high bottom and low bottom alcoholics. I don't know which one I fall into. I've always felt like I was a low bottom drunk because I lost everything. But a bottom doesn't have to necessarily be financial or legal or even health. You know, I've seen some bright yellow people come into the rooms of Alcoholics Anonymous. Liver transplants. Completely jaundiced, sitting at a table in AA. Is that a low bottom? Maybe he drove a Rolls Royce to the meeting. Is that money going to fix his alcoholism? No. He came to AA for help from people who rode a bike to the meeting and people who were chauffeur driven. The program of Alcoholics Anonymous is here for everyone. And I don't care who you are, you're welcome. So I'm really grateful for that. You know, Tradition 3 says that the only requirement for AA membership is a desire to stop drinking. That's it. That's it. I'm very grateful for that. And I had a tough time with that. You know, when I first came to AA, I really didn't have a desire to stop drinking. But what I did was I kept drinking until I did have the desire to stop drinking. So anyway, thank you for listening. I know I rant sometimes, but we've got a beautiful, beautiful morning out here. I don't know if you guys can see that or not, but it's pretty impressive once again. So thanks a lot for joining me this morning on my walk on the beach. I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.